It's like, you know, when you come across like a ATM that's running Windows XP still, it's like, wow, that still exists. Top programming languages of 2021 as stated by IEEE. You know, Python's one. This is unsurprising. Then you got Java, then you got a few different flavors of C, a JavaScript in there, and then you got R and 7. Then you got Go, HTML, Swift, and then down the list you got other things like Arduino apparently has its own shit. MATLAB's in there for some godforsaken reason. PHP still lives in some world. It's like, you know, when you come across like a ATM that's running Windows XP still, it's like, wow, that still exists. PHP's out there. Some love for Rust and Julia in there you go. For you folks out there who were like, when's a real data science language gonna be on this list? For some reason, you got SAS in there. You know, there was a pretty salty tweet I read. Raise your hand if you use R stats but haven't Googled or tweeted the words R programming, because that's apparently how they, you know, they describe their methodology, how they got the rankings. Raise your hand if you raised your hand, then you didn't contribute to IE's top programming languages ranking. Emil here. You know, I was saying this in the Discord, and really my take home for this list, and R being 7th on it, even though Python is clearly number 1. Did you hear that, y'all? Python is the number 1 language. You know, that is the case. Math has determined that. And so for all of you saying that's impossible, 1, it's math. Math is undefeated. And 2, the internet never lies. So yeah, I'm unsurprised that Python's at the top of this list. The common phrase, the common saying for Python is the second best language for everything. It's the second best language for everything. So it's sensible that the language that is kind of the jack of all trades right now is the meta that everyone wants in on, right? Everyone wants in on Python. Everyone thinks people who know Python can slot in kind of anywhere. Which is true, right? You have front-end devs being able to do back-end stuff. You have back-end devs being able to do front-end stuff. People who are typically machine learning engineers working in Python able to do code review for people who are doing web apps. Because they all work in the same language, they all work in Python, right? And so it's pretty versatile, it's pretty flexible that way. And a lot of companies, you know, whether it's data or whether it's front-end dev or whatever it might be, hiring for people who have Python skills, it's a good thing. Because it does so many things, right? But look at the list, right? Like, when you take a look at the list, it's a lot of, like, mostly generalist languages. Like, Java's in there, you got C in there, C's everywhere. JavaScript's everywhere. HTML's everywhere. And then you got, like, sitting in 7th, the one language that is super hyper-specialized towards statistical programming. It was built by statisticians for people doing statistics. That was sort of the sell. And so when I see this, I actually think this is a pretty big positive for a language that literally does statistical programming. Because you're amongst all these other languages that do so many other things, you know, good or bad, but they are more general programming languages useful for many things, but not specialized in any one. R being specialized in literally 1, maybe 2 things at this point. You could maybe stretch to even 3 if you consider managing databases inside of R instead of like using SQL or Spark with some back-end infrastructure. You're literally up against C, Java, and JavaScript at this point. The amount of compiler shit that happens in the back end of R, that is C. It's a good amount of it. And Java, that's literally everywhere. That shit's everywhere. It'd be hard to beat that, too. And you got Python, which has been around for forever and is utilized in a million different ways. Front-end and back-end research versus engineering. So yeah, I don't know. In my opinion, I think this is a good sign. I think R people should be really happy about it. I wouldn't be offended if I was using R as like my main and I saw this on a list of generalist programming languages. It's like, yeah, you know, for a language that does one thing, it does it so fucking well, it's in the top 10 languages wanted in 2021. Sounds pretty good.